Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. God bless each and every one of you. Let's just jump right in, folks. There's plenty of things to talk about. Kamala Harris should absolutely be panicking right now because if you remember back in the summer of mostly peace and love, summer of riots, what happened? We had people like Kamala Harris out there pushing on Twitter and other places the ACT Blue, where they were no to Minneapolis bail fund, where they were bailing out these criminals out of jail, and they were going to go out and recommit crimes. And that's exactly what happened with some of these people who use this website to go ahead and get these people to be bailed out. Kamala Harris should be directly responsible for all of this, because she helped push it along with Joe Biden and other Democrat operatives in the people in the media as well. Well, one of the criminals that were let out on the bail fund, that Kamala Harris posted and encouraged people to donate to release criminals like this winter here who went out and ended up murdering somebody else, has now been arrested for murder. The people of the family of the murder victim should absolutely be furious, and sue the vice president, the president and other individuals who else ever shared that link as well. They all should be held accountable for what they have allowed to happen. So let's take a look at the story coming to us from the Gateway Pundit over here. And it says a man freed by bail fund supported by Kamala Harris charged with murder. Oh, you don't say. I thought that guy looks like a real winner and man freed by the Minnesota bail fund supported by Kamala Harris during the mostly peaceful George Floyd riots and 2020 has been charged with murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund admitted it helped release Sean Michael Tillman from jail in 2020. Tillman went on to shoot and kill a person in St. Paul in May of this year. The Washington Free Beacon reported a Minnesota bail fund camp championed by Vice President Kamala Harris helped free a repeat felon now charged with murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund on Thursday acknowledged it helped secure to release a Sean Michael Tillman, who inmate shot and killed a passenger on a rail platform in St. Paul. Harris promoted the Free Freedom Fund on Twitter during the mostly peaceful George Floyd riots in 2020, helping the group raise $35 million in matter of weeks. According to the Washington Post, Freedom Fund executive directors Marielle Say Ozonera and Lizer Darris defended the group's decision to post Tillman's bail in the statement Thursday, saying it's neither just nor effective to respond to violence by denying bail and preemptively punishing people who are disproportionately poor, black, brown and indigenous. A guy just seems to fit all of those categories and was a convicted felon beforehand many times and then decided to go commit another felony by killing somebody. Right. Tillman's criminal record includes multiple counts of indecent exposure as well as an assault, unlawful possession of a firearm. Court's records show he is now in custody with bail set to $2 million. Whatever Kabbalah is going to try to build this guy out again. When Reach Recommit to Freedom Fund directed the Washington Free Beacon to in statement, Tillman's most recent felony conviction was in November 2018 for indecent exposure in the presence of a minor. At the trifecta. The trifecta can't make this stuff up. Democrats love the criminals who like to touch the little kids. They like criminals who love to kill people. They like criminals who are just criminals, and they will do whatever they can in order to help them release from prison so they can terrorize the greater community at large. This is who the Democrat Party is. This is the Democrat Party base. This is who they're fighting for. They're not fighting for the everyday American citizens who all wants to do is go and work and provide for their family and just have a good time. Now they want to make sure they are releasing the savages into the streets so that therefore they can go wreak havoc and make people scared and of course vote Democrat, because the Democrats who caused many of these issues are always the ones that are presenting a solution. Funny that, huh? And then, it's official, Joe Biden will be impeached after the Republicans take over Congress. The plans have already been made. We're going to take a look at the case for impeachment that's being prepared as we speak. Alright, it's being widely reported from New York Magazine to the Washington Post and everywhere in between. GOP leaders are indeed already planning articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. According to the Washington Post, it is a done deal along with most likely dozens of Hunter Biden investigations among several Republican committees. Now that I believe is what Sleepy Joe when he's awake. That is what he's most afraid of. Certainly his administration is scared witless. The FBI is scared. Thank God we got a copy of the hard drive, right? God bless a computer repair store owner in Wilmington, who made that copy. He's no longer in business. I think you know that, right? Because of the amount of death threats he received from the paragons of the tolerant left. Bindon in his inner circle are scared to death of that laptop. We have not seen everything. We have not seen all the pictures that Hunter thought he deleted, and Joe the big guy is going to be investigated like no one else. When you have even Bill Maher coming out and saying that there were obvious and major financial improprieties going on with Hunter and his dad Joe's cooked right. He's done. But Hunter, as it turns out, is actually just icing on the impeachment cake. According to a report published by The Hill, there are now already 8 articles of impeachment that have been officially drafted against Biden. You're at that right, Aid. 3 for the disastrous troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. 3 are for Biden's deliberate abrogating of his law enforcement responsibilities at the southern border, and another to involve hundreds. So as you see, he's the icing on this impeachment cake. As for the southern border, the utter incompetence of the Biden administration was on full display the other day, when Biden's borderline illiterate press secretary was herself pressed on her rank hypocrisy when it comes to COVID vaccination requirements for people coming into the United States. Alright guys, what you're looking at right now is the US side of the Rio Grande. That is a mass of several 100 illegal immigrants who have just crossed the Rio Grande, and look at this, several 100 more screaming across as we speak. We're on a boat in the Rio Grande. This is the Mexican side of the river right now. You can see it's a never-ending stream, hundreds of people crossing the Rio Grande, basically every hour, and they're heading over to the International Bridge, which you can see in the background. Look at that mass of people. This is why the situation under the bridge continues to deteriorate. This is insane. The federal government has to wake up. That is what Biden is going to be impeached for, that total willful dereliction of his law enforcement responsibilities. So it's going to be Afghanistan, and I think the biggest bombshells are yet to come out of that Hunter Biden laptop, particularly with regard to Sleepy Joe's illicit business dealings with Hunter. The combination of these 3 things promise an easy impeachment in the House. So what about the Senate? Well, things aren't as bad as we might think in terms of how inert and totally unreceptive Senate Republicans are with regard to their base. Now, of course, this is assuming that we take control the Senate, which I believe we will. We can expect the polls to tighten big time going into September, and then look for a number of Republican candidates, particularly our Senate candidates, to start breaking away in October. That's what we saw with Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. And it's frankly what we see in every single election cycle that ends up favoring the Republicans. Republican polling is notoriously sparse in the summer and early fall months before major midterm election. And I think this year, they're going to end up doing great. So that said, what are we looking at in the Senate? Well, keep in mind, one of the replacements is being considered for Mitch McConnell's Senate leader as Florida Senator Rick Scott. Now, that's significant because Rick Scott is on record openly questioning whether Biden is capable of discharging the duties of his office. And that is indeed time for Congress to discuss exercise and the provisions of the 25th Amendment. So this was back in August of last year after Biden's disastrous Afghanistan troop withdrawal. And Scott tweeted out, quote, "After the disastrous events in Afghanistan, we must confront a serious question. Is Joe Biden capable of discharging the duties of his office, or his time come to exercise the provisions of the 25th Amendment?" And by the way, Rick Scott's not alone in that assessment. A recent McLaughlin survey found that 60% of those polled, 59% to be exact, believe Biden should take and release the results of a cognitive test. I mean, seriously, I did looking at some Biden videos from Iran this time last year in August of last year, because my last video today dealt with Baghdad falling under bumbling Biden's watch in a manner comparable to what happened this time last year with the fall of Kabul. And don't take my word for it, do yourself. Just compare videos of Biden speaking this time last year with him talking today. He is clearly experiencing obvious cognitive decline. It's rapidly getting worse. I mean, it's sad Tucker Carlson has speculated that they're pumping him up with so many drugs right now just to keep his Weekend with Bernie appearances. It's sad doesn't even begin to describe it. So you got potentially the next Senate Majority Leader, hopefully, and I know Rick Scott's not perfect, but he's infinitely better than Turtleman, Mitch McConnell. So you got Scott openly questioning Biden's cognitive abilities in relation to the Afghanistan debacle. You have Senator Lindsey Graham. He has reiterated on several occasions his call for Biden to be impeached over the whole Afghanistan travesty. You got Senators Hawley and Blackboard. They're on record demanding the Biden resign from office or face impeachment because of that botched withdrawal. So we do have some key GOP senators who would most likely vote to convict. I would love, by the way, to see an impeachment trial where Biden's defense is basically shut out. I don't know if we can do it. But I would love to see the Republicans so shut down the defense in a manner comparable to the way the J6 committee institute those kangaroo court rules. That would be karma on gold. But if we're seeing major corruption among the Biden family in that Hunter Biden laptop, that alone may be enough to do it. But when that's mixed in with the Afghanistan troop withdrawal debacle, and the deliberate dereliction of duty at the southern border, I think it's very plausible to see every single Republican line up and vote to convict. How many Democrats would join in? Probably none. But if done rightly, I think the trial could completely finish any semblance of support that Biden has among particularly independent voters. And that would make 2020 for an absolute shoe in butter. The popcorn gang, this is gonna get good. And I thank God that we've all been brought together. Alright folks, hopefully you enjoyed the situation update today. Please let me know in the comments. Please do everything you can to support